Have you ever wondered why some people choose to live with almost nothing? Why someone would happily part with things most of us hold on to, clothes we never wear, gadgets we don't need, books we haven't read? It might seem strange to some, but for others it feels freeing, meaningful, even necessary. Today, we're going to explore the psychology of people who are drawn to minimalism. And by the end, you might see this lifestyle in a completely new way. Most of us grew up being told that more is better. More toys, more clothes, more space, more possessions, more of everything. We connect more stuff with more success, more happiness, and more freedom. But minimalists think differently. For them, less can actually be more calm, more clarity, more energy, more focus. So why do some people naturally feel this way? Let's unpack the core psychological reasons behind this mindset. At the heart of minimalism is the idea of choice. We all have choices about what we keep in our lives. Minimalists take this choice very seriously. They don't just throw things away randomly, they make intentional decisions about every item they hold onto. Psychologists call this self-regulation, the ability to control impulses and make decisions that align with long-term goals instead of short-term desires. People drawn to minimalism often have strong self-regulation skills. They are good at resisting the temptation to buy things they don't need, and this gives them a powerful sense of control over their life. This sense of control is actually very important psychologically. When we feel like our environment is overwhelming or chaotic, our mind feels overwhelmed too. Too much stuff can lead to cognitive overload, where our brain has to work harder to process everything around us. A cluttered room can lead to a cluttered mind. Minimalists often notice that reducing physical clutter makes it easier to focus, think, and feel calm. This is not just a preference, it's about how their brain feels most at ease. Another psychological factor is the need for simplicity and clarity. Some people are naturally drawn to simplicity because they find complexity stressful. These individuals often have a personality trait known as low tolerance for ambiguity. They prefer situations and environments that are clear, predictable, and organized. For them, minimalism is a tool to reduce uncertainty and complexity in life. When there are fewer objects, fewer decisions to make, and fewer distractions, they feel more at peace. Minimalism is also deeply connected to a desire for freedom. Not freedom in the abstract political sense, but freedom from the pressure of consumer culture. Many people feel trapped by the constant need to keep up with trends, buy the latest products, or impress others with material wealth. Minimalists reject this pressure. They define their worth not by what they own, but by who they are, what they value, and how they spend their time. For them, having less stuff means having more life, more time with loved ones, more space for creativity, more focus on personal growth. This leads us to another central psychological drive, the pursuit of meaning over materialism. Research shows that when people prioritize experiences and relationships over possessions, they tend to be happier and more fulfilled in the long run. Minimalists often realize that memories, skills, and relationships cannot be bought or stored on a shelf. You can have a closet full of shoes and still feel empty inside. But you can have a few cherished items and feel rich in purpose. Minimalists are also often motivated by mindfulness. Mindfulness means being fully present in the moment without distraction. A cluttered environment can pull our attention in many directions at once: email notifications, social media alerts, piles of unopened mail, clothes on the floor. When there are fewer distractions, it becomes easier to focus on the present moment. Minimalists also tend to appreciate aesthetic simplicity. A clean, uncluttered space can create feelings of calm and beauty. This is related to how our visual system and brain respond to order. Some studies suggest that clutter increases stress and anxiety, while open, simple spaces make it easier for our brains to relax. So for some, minimalism isn't just a lifestyle philosophy, it's a sensory preference. Let's also talk about how minimalism affects emotional well-being. For many people, extra belongings create emotional weight, attachments to the past, guilt about unused items, or stress about upkeep and organization. Minimalists often talk about the emotional relief they feel after letting go of items that no longer serve them. This relief is real because it reduces decision fatigue, the mental exhaustion that comes from making too many choices every day. When you have fewer items, you have fewer decisions: what to wear, what to organize, what to clean. This simplicity allows mental energy to be used for things that matter more deeply. Minimalism is not just about reducing physical things, it's also about reducing mental and emotional baggage. People who embrace minimalism often work on letting go of old beliefs, relationships, or habits that don't add value to their lives. In this way, minimalism becomes a practice of inner growth, not just outer decluttering. So, what can we learn from people drawn to minimalism? First, that less can be more, and not just in possessions, but in clarity, calmness, and focus. Second, that intentional living can create deeper satisfaction than automatic consumption. Third, that prioritizing experiences, relationships, and values can lead to a richer life than chasing possessions ever will. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by stuff, distracted by choices, or tired of the pressure to keep up with trends, there might be something in minimalism for you to explore. You don't have to become a full minimalist overnight. Even small steps, like clearing a drawer or deciding not to buy something you don't need, can give you a sense of control, clarity, and peace. Minimalism is not about perfection. It's about making intentional choices that make your life better. And at its core, the psychology of minimalism is about understanding what truly matters and letting go of everything that doesn't. If you found this exploration interesting, consider what less might bring more into your own life. And remember, simplicity isn't about having nothing, it's about making room for everything that truly matters.